below by using the Mintzberg model to relate the three leadership era models.
Why do many people believe that there's just one way to be a leader, or that only one type of person is truly great? What about the Vault Dweller in Fallout makes them special, and not their companions? Hi, I'm Bree Sheldon, and welcome to Leading with Class. Leadership as a concept has been around a long time, and that means a lot of people interpret it in different ways. There are personal definitions, and academic ones too. Those are the ones that influence how people lead and study what we do. Early leadership theory is the D&D of how people perceive leadership today. Its DNA can show up anywhere. The earliest theories are the great man theory and trait theory. Since these are commonly referenced in leadership studies, we'll review them today and explain why they should remain in the past. The great man theory is based on the idea of born leaders. Early leadership studies had this idea that leaders, who were always thought of as men, were born with heroic traits and natural leadership abilities. One of the biggest problems with the great man theory is that it can only be applied retroactively. A good example of this is the role of the chosen undead in Dark Souls. In Dark Souls, you play a person with the curse of undeath. Near the start of the game, you're given a prophecy about a chosen undead.
There's an old saying in my family. Thou who art undead art chosen. In thine exodus from the undead asylum, maketh pilgrimage to the land of ancient lords. When thou ringeth the bell of awakening, the fate of the undead thou shalt know. Well, now you know.
And it is only after your character does specific tasks that anyone labels you as chosen undead.
Hello. Was it you who rang the bell of awakening? I am the primordial serpent, King Seeker-Fract, close friend of the great Lord Gwyn, chosen undead, who has rung the bell of awakening. I wish to elucidate your fate.
As the player, you know that you have the potential to be the chosen undead. You bought the game and you expect to be the hero. But until you've actually been labeled chosen undead, there's no guarantee. The thing is, when we get that confirmation, yes, it's you, we look back and see how it was planned all along. But this is just confirmation bias. I'm not a big fan of great man theory. The idea that someone is born a leader is by default exclusionary. Those using this theory will always define their leaders based on the values of their culture, even when those values are bigoted. Trait theory, similarly, is based on the idea of supposedly inherited traits like intelligence or charisma. Researchers in the 1920s liked the idea of the great man theory, but wanted to be able to predict great leaders. Traits are still analyzed and studied today, but there's never been a concrete list or collection of traits to predict leadership. In games, we really love traits. You'll find them in the majority of games under names like traits, attributes, skills, or abilities, but not all of them work the same. In Fallout, your character is special. They have strength, perception, endurance, charisma, intelligence, agility, and luck. In the real world, luck is called privilege. In Fallout 4, the non-player characters don't have any accessible traits.
Hey, I'm listening.
The game treats them as resources for the Vault Dweller. Meanwhile, the Vault Dweller has access to those special traits and is given leadership roles and responsibilities with little debate or precondition. This mimics real life, where people who have the right stuff are given leadership roles, while those who don't conform to the expectations of leadership are just used as tools. See also the term human resources. Because of subjective interpretations, people using trait theory only assign certain leaders with the valued traits. A man could be labeled assertive, while a woman with the same behaviors could be labeled domineering. This is a flaw with personality tests inspired by these theories. Issues of sexism, racism, and further prejudices often made those good traits only available to privileged individuals. We'll discuss those tests later in the series. The game examples I've used are important because these older theories make it hard to have cooperation and community. That's why I use mostly single-player games to show how they work. Leadership should be collaborative, and it should work in communities. Exclusion doesn't make that happen. The flaws in trait theory and the great man theory, among other desires to explore leadership, led researchers like Kurt Lewin to study styles of leadership, autocratic and democratic. An autocratic dungeon master in a D&D game will keep players on a strict storyline that they dictate, and use their control over challenges and rewards to keep the players in line. A democratic dungeon master might invite player contributions to the plot and rely on player investment to keep them engaged. These styles were the foundation of behavioral theories, which we'll discuss in the next episode. Look in the description below or on a Patreon post for the source of our definitions and some homework, an exercise on early leadership theory. I'm hoping that the exercise will enrich your experience here as a gamer and a leader. This episode was made possible by your support on patreon.com/leadingwithclass.